So Jess, one of the things that you've had your focus on recently has been this collaboration beer effort that is focusing on ideas of mental health and wellness. Can you give us a little bit of background on why this kind of thing is important to you and what it is about this project that really kind of caught your eye?
Absolutely, yeah. Great question. So, Things We Don't Say is a movement. It's a craft beer for mental health project. It's something that some people I know in the industry are working on, and they're really trying to change the way we approach mental health by empowering these conversations. Um, I'm involved as an ambassador of sorts, and because I think my friends who are involved in it know that I openly and freely talk about mental health. I openly and frequently talk about how therapy has changed my life, and I always kind of say, not everyone is so lucky, and so although a lot of times people are embarrassed to talk about it. I really try and empower people to talk about it. And, if there's something that I learned through therapy, I like to help people in applying some of my learnings that I've learned over the years, just to kind of help people, especially with things being tough. People have lost jobs and all kinds of tough situations in the past year or so. And I just think this is such an important way to get the craft beer community talking. So it's been pretty cool so far.
One of the things that we've talked about the last couple of months in the guild is engaging in conversations that can be difficult. And, we've talked about it in terms of covering and writing about and sharing the stories for a host of people in underrepresented and underserved communities. And so when you talk to other people about maybe ways to maybe help them feel comfortable talking about sensitive subjects like this, like mental health and wellness, how do you engage with others in a way to maybe make them feel comfortable about doing the same with you?
Yeah, that's really thoughtful. So a lot of times, when people are going through things, I think it's always key for listeners and friends and family to say, I understand and I hear you. I think really an innate sort of part of humanity is we just want to be heard. We don't want to be told we're right. Don't want to be told we're wrong. We just want to be heard and understood. So I think when people kind of are struggling or having a hard day, or I kind of can pick up on their energy, I check in with them and just say, how are things? Okay, how are things really? And I think that's just a way to break the ice and get people chatting. And then I really kind of give the advice of what? Let yourself feel your feelings. And it's a simple, statement, but I think it carries a lot of gravitas for people to hear someone say, it's okay to feel your feelings. You don't have to talk to me about it, but make sure you're taking care of you and feeling them and identifying them, because a lot of times, and I was guilty of this too, you just shove it down and you just want to be strong for everyone else. You don't want to cry, you don't want to be mad or upset or hurt, and so you just kind of pretend it's not there, or you engage in things that make you forget. Maybe you overindulge, or you do something that essentially isn't necessarily healthy. But yeah, it's for me, it's really just about easing into conversations, being approachable, and making people feel human and heard. And I think that's really all we can do is as friends and peers and people in the industry who have been going through so much. It's like every week, every month, there's new rules, there's restrictions, there's extra hours of sanitizing, there's you know grand business losses, and it's hard to keep your head up some days, and people are anxious. But yeah, I just try and make sure people know that I'm here, and their struggles are always valid.
Let's take that to maybe the next step of that conversation, because engaging in a way that makes yourself and somebody else feel comfortable is one thing, but when you hear those stories, maybe if it's the way that you're just interacting with people in the beer industry, or if it's an opportunity for you to try to amplify or share their story in a respectful way, how do you do that personally when you get to have these conversations? How do you take it to the next step and be respectful of what that conversation is and maybe the hardship or the sensitivity of it when you do have the opportunity to maybe amplify or share that voice?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love that, because I think it really is just about the little things that you can do. And for me, I really kind of got into, beer blogging and my beer Instagram as a way to create community and as a way to promote positivity. So I think for me, if there's ever an opportunity to, make someone's day or send them a little meme or a little quote or something like that, that makes all the difference. And what I also do is I find those quotes or messages that inspire me. And I have some friends that will send me really thoughtful things. I share it out on my story. And it's really amazing what can happen. It's, if you think it's just a beer Instagram, I get people who reply to me and say, I really needed that. Thank you. Or, I post something in my story about, um, you know, you're doing amazing, sweetie, like whatever it is. Of course, there's, a lot of really thoughtful quotes and accounts out there that promote positivity or promote, starting conversations or self-empowerment, whatever the topic. And you want to be careful. You're not promoting toxic positivity where you're just like, everything's great. It's kind of like, hey, we're human, we're in this together. And sometimes I post these things just to like remind folks, and I'll have followers respond and say like, thank you so much. You don't understand. Like, I needed that and I'm going to share that. And that really hit, or whatever it is. It's like, that's kind of what I try to do, is just put it out there, put positivity out there, put support out there so people can be reminded just in little ways when they're interacting, if they're watching stories or something, or, just happen to scroll and see something. It's like, yeah, just a quick friendly reminder. Hey, um, someone sees you, someone hears you, and you're not alone. And I'm always here to listen and to, like you said, amplify the voices. So again, when people are struggling, or, there are lots of, causes that are out there, and it's tough to pick and choose and say, this is where I'm going to support, Women for Women's Month, and this is where I'm going to support, whatever it may be. I think it's just important to always be genuine about it. So it's like, if this is a cause that's important to you, definitely like take that on, and think of ways where you can help raise awareness, and by sharing and sending notes and, sending emails or DMs to people, just to raise, awareness. But I always kind of say, like, make sure it's authentic and it's really something that you believe in and you want to be tied to.
So this is a simple question, but the answer to it has depth far beyond that. So I'll give you 30 seconds or less if you dare try.
Okay.
Why is positivity so important right now when we're talking about covering the beer industry?
I think because a lot of people feel isolated. Beer is such a connector. I know just personally and friends, we were traveling for beer, we were at festivals, we were at gatherings, we were in tap rooms every weekend, the same people, new people. You're expanding your horizons through the culture of beer, through tasting and bottle shares, and a fest you've never been to halfway across the country where you get to meet Instagram friends that you've never met in real life, right? And now we just feel isolated, and we feel like, well, man, I can go to some patios, some tap rooms are open, some indoor, but it's just not the same. And there is still a lot of fear and anxiety. And my whole kind of, crusade, if you will, is to say, like, let's keep the good momentum going, because we could sit and wallow, we could sit and feel like, things are never going to be the same again, and this and that, and it's like, sure, we can feel those feels, like I said, let's feel them, but like, let's come together and remember that we're all in this together. We're here for the same reason, because we love beer, because we love the industry. And let's just remind ourselves, that we will be able to connect again. We will be able to kind of work through any of those emotions that kind of came up, that we weren't perhaps equipped for, over the past year.